Welcome to this course on WHMIS. We will begin with a simple introduction. WHMIS is a national hazard communication system. It stands for Workplace Hazardous Materials Information System. It applies to suppliers, importers, and distributors of hazardous products that are sold in or imported into Canada and intended for use, handling, or storage in Canadian workplaces, as well as to the employers and workers who use those products. Requirements are set out in both federal legislation and federal, provincial, and territorial occupational health and safety legislation. In Alberta, these requirements are found in Part 29 of the OHS Code. WHMIS was created to reduce injuries and illnesses in the workplace. Exposure to hazardous materials can cause many serious health effects, such as irritation of the skin, burns, sensitization, heart and pulmonary ailments, cancer, and reproductive toxicity. Some hazardous materials can create safety hazards. The purpose of WHMIS is to ensure that workers have the information they need to work safely with hazardous materials at Alberta worksites. It was created in response to Canadian workers' right to know about the safety and health hazards that may be associated with the materials or chemicals they use at work. WHMIS legislation was amended February 11, 2015, and is now called WHMIS 2015. Canada's requirements for workplace chemicals has been updated as GHS is incorporated into WHMIS. GHS stands for the Globally Harmonized System of Classification and Labeling of Chemicals. GHS is a system that defines and classifies the hazards of chemical products, and communicates health and safety information on labels and safety data sheets. The goal is that the same set of rules for classifying hazards, and the same format and content for labels and safety data sheets, will be adopted and used around the world. An international team of hazard communication experts developed GHS. Changes include new symbols, labels, and SDS requirements. Aligning WHMIS with GHS helps to enhance the protection of worker health and safety by having improved and consistent hazard information, encourage safe transport, handling, and use of hazardous products, promote better emergency response, promote regulatory efficiency and compliance, and to facilitate international trade. There are four components to WHMIS. First, the identification and classification of hazardous products. Second, supplier and workplace labels that provide basic information in order to handle a hazardous product safely. Third, safety data sheets, which provide more detailed, technical information about a product's characteristics, hazards, and precautionary measures. Finally, worker education and training, which provides workers with a general overview of WHMIS, as well as site-specific information, instructions on how to do their job safely, and what to do in case of an emergency. Responsibility for WHMIS is shared by the supplier, employer, and employee. The supplier is responsible for classifying each hazardous product, providing an appropriate WHMIS supplier label and SDS, providing information in case of emergency, and updating WHMIS labels and SDS when significant new data becomes available. Significant new data is information that results in a change in the classification of the hazardous product, or a change in the requirements for protecting workers against the hazard. The SDS must be updated within 90 days of the release of significant new data. The employer is responsible for ensuring all labels are up to date and WHMIS compliant, safety data sheets are available for all hazardous products, workers have received the appropriate WHMIS education and training, and labels are updated as soon as significant new data is available. As a U of L employee or student, you must comply with the requirements of WHMIS, participate in WHMIS training, follow the work procedures, never use a hazardous product unless you have been trained for its use and the product container is properly labeled, and know where safety data sheets are for hazardous products and what procedures to follow in an emergency. The Alberta Occupational Health and Safety Act requires workers to cooperate with their employers to protect their own and other workers' health and safety.